looking into it, which James Lankford endorsed on the show earlier.
Yeah, so here's the fundamental issue with what you just heard from the Trump administration. They're losing the trust of the troops, who should be the main focus in all of this. The business of the Department of Defense is very dangerous. Every single day, they're dealing with life and death issues. It's risky and it's dangerous. And so you need our leadership, our most senior leadership at the Pentagon, our most senior leadership in the United States government, to take steps to mitigate that risk, to take steps to keep our troops safe. Pete Hegseth, he did the opposite. He put classified, sensitive material about an operation hours before that operation took place into an unclassified setting, which is one of the biggest no-nos at the Department of Defense. If somebody like me did that, I'd be out on the sidewalk. And so I think you need to really take a look at, the actions that they took and the result of it.
Scott?
Well, I think it's possible for two things to be true. One, it's possible to say this was a mistake, and it's a teachable moment, and I have no doubt they won't do it again. And it's also possible to look at, if you're trying to assess what should we do about it. I hear Democrats arguing, well, we should fire Pete Hegseth, we should fire the National Security Advisor. The bar for firing people like this is really high from the last administration, when after the Afghanistan withdrawal, which was a disaster, people died, no accountability was meted out. After the drone strike that vaporized those poor kids and that family, no accountability. After the Secretary of Defense went AWOL, no accountability. So if you're arguing today that we should get rid of Pete Hegseth over a small mistake regarding communications, even while he was expertly executing this military operation against the Houthi rebels, which also the Biden administration didn't take up, I don't have a lot of time for that argument today, and neither does most Republicans.
The problem here is that Pete Hegseth has taken no accountability. He's bashed the reporter. He's called it a hoax. He's done everything but say, hey, I made a mistake by putting this information in the Signal chat. You mentioned Secretary Austin. He stood at the podium for an hour and took accountability. He asked for a 30-day review of the hospitalization. He asked for an inspector
general.
Did
a single Democrat ask for his resignation?
Scott, if I may.
Did a single Democrat,
Scott,
not one?
I am so glad to hear you say that this was a mistake.
Yeah.
We have not heard a single member of the Trump administration say that this was a mistake.
Trump did.
We need leadership.
Trump did.
We need leaders who step up, who own their mistakes,
Trump
and put
did.
out clear plans, because what I'm hearing on the ground from actual constituents is that this is a sign of the carelessness of this administration, who can't even protect national security details. What about our personal details, our tax numbers?
I want to bring in Shermichael and show our viewers some of the new polling that I teased earlier. This is from CBS out this morning. Using Signal to discuss military plans was not appropriate. Overall, 76% agree with that. Mostly Democrats, 91% of Democrats, 80% of independents, and even a majority of Republicans.
Look, I'm not surprised, but I want to just go back down memory lane. I mean, Scott mentioned Afghanistan and how much of a debacle it was, but let's remind the viewers of the specifics of Afghanistan. 13 service members died. It was the deadliest attack, a single deadliest attack since 2011. A significant number of our troops were gravely wounded. And let's not forget those Gold Star families. They begged for accountability. Even many of them testified before Congress. Fire someone, demote someone. The administration did absolutely nothing. And even when Jake Sullivan told President Biden, I'm willing to resign, the president wouldn't accept the resignation. And so when Scott, when I, and other Republicans say we don't want to hear anything from Democrats, they have no moral standing to talk to Republicans about what we should do when they did absolutely nothing. When those Gold Star families, even to this day, Dana, still are begging for some type of answers for why the administration didn't protect their sons and daughters, and they want to lecture us
Chris,
on what we did wrong.
That?
Give me a break.
Look, there's no doubt that what happened at Abbey Gate was a tragedy, just like every loss of life over the last 20 years of the Afghanistan war. We can argue the merits of why we got into the war in Afghanistan. We can argue the merits of how we got out of the war in Afghanistan. But it's up to the Secretary of Defense in those moments to do everything he can to mitigate the risk that our troops face. We did that at Abbey Gate. It was a tremendously chaotic, difficult circumstance that was extremely dangerous for those men and women.
I want to get Mallory in.
It is wild to me that we would rather live in the past and point blame at Democrats who are no longer in the White House. They are not the leaders in power right now. People want to know right now, what is this administration going to do? What is J.D. Vance going to do? Who in that Signal chat is going to step forward, say this was a mistake? You should not use apps that any of us can download on our phone to share sensitive information.
But you know why this is important from an argumentative perspective? Because Democrats are positioning themselves as being the authority.
Let's not talk
on
about
what went
Democrats
wrong.
versus
You have
Republicans.
no
Hold on.
ground to stand on
Hold on.
to lecture us about what's
Why-
going wrong
why
here
are we
when you guys had a
dividing? Hold on.
catastrophic
Wait,
issue
wait, wait.
just
Let-
3-4 years ago.
One at a time.
Why are you so insistent on dividing this country? It is
so
not
now
about
I'm insistent on
Democrats
dividing the
versus
country?
Republicans. It is about people that I am hearing from every single day. People who are asking me, is it safe for me to file my taxes? Because if this is what they are going to do with sensitive military information, are they going to keep
Well,
my social
people are really
security?
worried about-
They are.
And
Yes.
think of
Man, it is just so funny to listen to these people talk about accountability and responsibility and outcomes and results, right? When the last 4 years, we got none of that. None of that. And there was a lot of opportunity for these CNN propagandists, these Democrat activists, these Democrat politicians to hold the Biden administration accountable. They had the border, they had the economy, they had the foreign conflicts, they had the Joe Biden mental state. I mean, they lied to us about almost every single thing. And that's the problem that the Democrats are facing right now. They're just not credible. Nobody is going to listen to the Democrats when it comes down to setting a moral high ground, right? Y'all, who are you to set the moral standard when for the last 4 years, y'all literally lied about everything, every single issue you guys lied about. Told us the border was closed when it was wide open. Y'all were letting criminal migrants in, right? Even with Lake and Riley, when it came down to that, y'all didn't say that was a mistake. You didn't say that should have never happened. Y'all didn't even stand up for Lake and Riley during the joint session of Congress when Donald Trump was speaking, right? Joe Biden's mental state. Y'all told us he was perfectly fine. He was sharp as a tack. Y'all told us the economy was great. It was the best that it has ever been. Y'all told us y'all created more jobs than there has ever been created when those were fake numbers. The Labor Department came out and said y'all lied about those numbers. But nobody was held accountable in the Afghanistan situation that they brought up. So all of these things was an opportunity for Democrats to hold somebody accountable, but they never did. But now they want to come out and tell people who should be held accountable and who shouldn't. Get the hell out of here. Nobody's going to listen to that nonsense. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this debate here. Let's talk about it in the comment section. Leave your opinions down below. And of course, if you are brand new, consider hitting subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.